Any platforms on the Big 1520 across central Illinois, 92.3 FM in DeWitt County, and now on 106.5 FM in Logan County, and on the WHOW app. AgriTalk on WHOW.
News time is 9 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Wednesday. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded 7 o'clock newscast brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters. Here's what we have coming up for you in news on this Wednesday. The dust has settled and the results are in. Helen Michelassi will be the mayor of Clinton for the 2-year unfinished term of mayor on the Clinton City Council. Michelassi took the 50% of the vote on Tuesday in the special election for the seat of mayor. Details on that next in news. A new realtor is coming to Clinton, and a $10,000 library grant for the Warner Library is going to help them increase accessibility. And that project expected to get started over the summer in Clinton. Those stories all come up in news on this Wednesday. But first, we stream to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. After months of campaigning, the race of mayor in Clinton has been decided. Helen Michelassi, mayor-elect for the city of Clinton, told Regional Radio last night the support of her friends and family was an integral part of her campaign.
Well, I've been married to the same good man for over 40 years. Well, many good things don't happen in my life without him. My family has worked tirelessly with me. I had a campaign committee and volunteers who drove me to those 9 precincts when it was 7 degrees out and stayed with me through all of those cold, really windy days when we were out talking to constituents and meeting really great people and hearing their concerns and ideas. So I'm youngest of 7 children, or 8 children, so I have 7 siblings. So they all stood up and stepped up and have helped me tremendously as well as my campaign manager, Tina Baxter, and others. I don't know that it would have been much more difficult without all of them as part of the process.
Michelassi won with a total of 546 votes and credits the victory to her communication with the people of Clinton. She's focused on going door to door to meet with people. She focused on going door to door to meet with people she hoped would become her future employers.
Well, I knew when I decided to run for mayor that I had to go hear what the people had to say that live here. What do they want to see? What do you want Clinton to be in 5 years, I would ask him. What do you see Clinton being? And what do you see as some pretty major concerns right now? And what's the best part of Clinton? What do we have that's really good? Because Clinton is a great community. So I did a lot of door knocking. I started that, and we did some mailers so people would know who I am. I didn't think I should apply for a job without meeting my employers, and the community members are my employers. As a city council member and certainly as mayor, they would be my employers. So we did that. We did some yard signs, but mainly we did a lot of communication.
Michelassi understands she is now working for the entire community, not just the 546 who voted for her. She's committed to representing all the people of Clinton and wants everyone to have a voice.
Well, I hope that they realize that even though they didn't vote for me, we're stepping over that today. Tomorrow, we're going to get busy. I'll be sworn in a matter of weeks, and then I represent everybody in the community, and I want to hear from everybody in the community. You don't have to vote for me to care that you have a great life. I want you to enjoy living here. I want it to be a prosperous, vibrant community, and I want everybody in this community to feel like they have a voice and that they're a part of something big and great that's coming around the corner, whether they voted for me or not.
The first item on the to-do list is the comprehensive plan. Michelassi will work with the entire community and city employees to move Clinton forward together.
I think the biggest thing they're talking about is a strategic plan, and we've talked about this all through the campaign. They worked on a strategic plan in 2024. And they did a lot of hard work on that and quite frankly paid a little chunk of money. And I think it encompasses what's going to happen with our streets, what's going to happen with, parts of our community here through that strategic plan. Public safety. Are we building a new city hall? Are we going to end up with a new fire protection district building? All of those things are on the plate right now and on the burner. And we need to sit down, look at all this and say, what's next? Where do we step? I'm so excited, man, because I just want to say, let's go. I've said for months now, people are probably sick of me saying, let's move Clinton forward together. We can. Clinton's a great community. Let's move Clinton forward together. And I'm here to tell you tonight, I'm ready to do that. And I'll change it up a little bit by saying, let's go. Let's move it forward together.
The final tallies from the Tuesday election, Michelassi received 546 votes, 50% of the vote. 291 votes went to Seth Reddington, that was 26% of the vote. 130 votes to Kelly Harvey, which was 11%. Doug Tucker, at 65 votes, received 5% of the vote. 39 votes went to Robert Kreitler for 3% of the vote, and 1% of the vote to Doug England, who had 16 votes. Voter turnout for the election was roughly 25%. 7:15 on this Wednesday morning, Still to come in news this morning, the Warner Library last week announced a $10,000 grant that will help them provide better accessibility for those with disabilities. Work on that project expected to be this summer in front of the Warner Library in Clinton. Also coming up in sports this morning, yesterday on WHOW, before our election coverage, you heard Clinton baseball here on WHOW. Clinton shut out Sullivan in baseball action. Tri-Valley beat Monticello, Maroa-Forsyth beat Hayworth, and Mount Pulaski toppled Pontiac. Those sports stories and much more in a full day of high school baseball and softball in Central Illinois. Still to come this morning in sports. Clinton's business scene is getting a boost with the arrival of MTZ Realty, a new real estate company setting up shop right on the square. Stacy Sharrow, the managing broker for the Clinton location, couldn't be more thrilled to lead the charge. She says they'll help whoever they can with a full range of services, from residential home sales to commercial deals.
We opened our first location in Mount Zion, Illinois, May of 2024. And we are now opening our second location here in Clinton. I've been a resident of Clinton for 23 years. So we really just want to give back to the community, be a part, and help whoever we can.
Sharrow noted the Clinton office will handle everything from houses to business properties.
We really offer everything, residential, commercial. If you're not in the market yet to buy, we do work with investors who buy and sell on contract. So we are able to help with that as well.
The new office is taking over the old Watkins jewelry store at 600 West Side Square, a spot Sharrow calls an opportunity that fell in their lap. The space has been revamped, breathing new life into a familiar corner of downtown.
We really, just being able to have a location on the square kind of fall in our lap was amazing for us. I feel being on the square is really going to help us be a part of the community. We're planning some big things with the chamber to bring back a free kids corner for May Days and maybe some things for Apple and Pork. We really just want to be involved in the community and provide some other services as well.
MTZ Realty is rolling out the welcome mat with a grand opening this Friday at 11 a.m. Swing by to meet Sharrow and the team, tour the renovated digs, and see what they're bringing to Clinton. Again, you'll find them at 600 West Side Square. Last week, the Warner Library announced a $10,000 grant that will help them become more accessible to those with disabilities. On the WHOW Morning Show Tuesday, Bobby Perryman, executive director of the Warner Library, told Regional Radio they received the grant from the American Library Association. It will allow them to construct a more accessible sidewalk and entrance for patrons with disabilities.
The whole backstory is If you're familiar with our building, the walk from the parking lot to the front door is pretty long. It's like right around 100 feet, especially even from the accessible parking spots all the way. The sidewalk has settled, so we've done some patching, but it's not great. I've always known that was a problem, but didn't really know what to do about it. And then a patron came to me, a patron with a mobility disability, and said, this is a problem. Could we put in a handrail? And I had never thought of that, but I thought that was a great idea. And as this was all happening, we're trying to figure out, okay, we want to do this, how we're going to pay for it. The American Library Association announced they were doing another Libraries Transforming Communities, or LTC grant. These are grants for smaller libraries and rural libraries like ours. And they always are done around a theme, and it just happened that this theme was accessible libraries. So making libraries more accessible for everyone. So I applied for the grant back in December, heard absolutely nothing for the longest time, thought, oh well, but we tried, we'll still figure out another way to do it. And then we got the announcements that we got the $10,000.
To receive the grant, the library must set up a community conversation about making the building more accessible. Perryman invites any patrons or community members with disabilities to come and voice their opinions on their plans.
We actually had to sit on it for a little bit because we had to sit on it for about 2 weeks because ALA hadn't announced it to everybody yet. So it was like, oh, I've got this, but I can't tell anybody.
Oh, man.
So we are very excited. The way LTC grants work is you actually have to have a community conversation with stakeholders. So for us, we're going to have a program in May. We don't have the date set yet, where we're asking for any of our patrons who have mobility disabilities to come in, and we'll show them our plan and talk to them about it and make sure it works for them. Mm-hmm. I don't have a mobility disability, so what I might think makes sense won't actually make sense. I never would have thought of the handrail. So that is our plan. We will show them our plan. We have to relocate our bike rack, and we have a bench out front we'll have to move to get the handrail in, but I think it'll be wonderful. And our big plan is to also redo the ramp that goes up to the sidewalk. It's very narrow, and you have to get out of your accessible parking spot, go all the way back behind, and then get up to it. We want to relocate the ramp, make it wider, and make it closer to the accessible parking.
According to Perryman, the funds will not be received by the library until May. This means the project will begin during the summer.
So we will actually receive the funds in May. So our plan is this summer. June is a little tricky. We try to avoid doing things in June because that's our busiest month of the year. We have twice the business we normally do, but we are looking forward to possibly July. As I said, we have to redo parts of the sidewalk that have settled, and we're working with the city of Clinton because they own half of the sidewalk, but they've been great to work with, so no issues there. So we will probably have that sidewalk closed off, and we'll have to ask people to come in from the Johnson Street entrance until we can get it all done. I would say I'd spend about probably 10% of my time on grant writing because it's finding the grants and then making sure they're actually applicable to us. I don't like, there's a grant, I have to apply for it. I have an idea, let me find a grant that goes with it. For the most part, we do have some standard grants, like the Illinois State Library gives us a per capita grant every year. So that's an amount of money for each person in our district. Always apply for that one. Illinois Humanities has a general operating grant that I'm going to be applying for, where they just give you money to use however you need. Because for a lot of things that we need, grants don't necessarily exist because they're not exciting. It's very hard to find capital grants. And that's why I was so excited to get this ALA LTC grant, because a lot of places will not do any kind of construction.
For Perryman, again, chasing grants is all about matching funds to needs. You can get more information about all things Warner Library at vwarner.org and find them on most any social media platform. News time is 22 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Wednesday. Plenty more to get to coming up on the morning show.
Baum Chevrolet Buick offers full transportation options while giving you peace of mind. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. This is what we do every day. We listen to you, give you options for routine maintenance, major mechanical problems, or collision repairs with a staff that's knowledgeable to find the best option for you. Baum Chevrolet Buick, your full-service dealer. See us at bombchevybuick.com right from the start.
News time is 22 minutes after 7 o'clock here on this Wednesday. Again, I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks today for this expanded local newscast. Illinois Farm Bureau Director of National Legislation Ryan Whitehouse says he continues to get asked about potential cuts to county FSA offices.
So when we were in D.C., we met with the associate administrator of FSA, Steve Peterson. He talked about, there was those letters that went out to let people go. They rolled those back. Some people didn't come back, but they didn't let go as much as everyone else. It has been reported in the media about some offices that are closing. Fortunately, knock on wood, nothing is on the list in Illinois. Again, the work that FSA does is extremely vital to our membership, especially with right now when they're trying to sign up for Title I, the ARC, the PLC, trying to get the emergency commodity assistance payments out. That program, FSA has done a really, really good job of rolling that out. Once someone applies, getting that money to them within, I think, 3 to 4 days. And so those county offices are important to our members. Clearly, there probably is some efficiencies that can be done. However, we would encourage that we do that in a surgical approach, not just a blanket approach.
White House was in Washington last week with 21 County Farm Bureau members as a part of the Leaders to Washington program. The tradition of milk in the winner's circle at the Indy 500 goes way back, and it's something Prairie Farms Dairy wants to highlight. They've introduced a limited edition Indy 500 winning driver pint milk, available now through the end of May, says Prairie Farm Dairy's Darren Copeland.
Just the amplification of the marketing surrounding these special bottles, with our partners. We can just reach a lot more fans than we ever could with just a regular bottle of milk. So we're really excited to see this out there, and it just goes along so well with the tradition of drinking milk after winning the Indy 500, which I think goes back all the way back to like 1936 when there was a race car driver. His name was Louis Meyer, and he was an avid drinker of buttermilk at the time, and so he had requested a bottle of buttermilk after winning his third Indy 500, and that kind of started the tradition that has been going on now for nearly 90 years. So I think this is just a great way to celebrate everything that the Indy 500 is about, and the connections to milk and our customers, and supporting dairy farmers, the people that are behind all of this.
Race day is Sunday, May 25th. The Indy 500 pints feature 5 different drivers. Is it too early to talk summer growing conditions?
Well, I mean, we can talk about them. Summer continues to be a real challenge to predict as far as precipitation is concerned, so especially precipitation. That being said, it's interesting. We are seeing more indications from the outlooks and the models that are looking out that far of warmer than normal conditions across the entire U.S. and better chances for drier conditions to our north and our west. So kind of west of the Mississippi River, especially the upper Missouri River from Montana all the way into northwest Missouri. That's where they're showing the best chances of below normal precipitation for the summertime. It doesn't mean that we're expecting big drought conditions in Illinois, but that's something that we'll just want to watch for. I will say that a lot of times this time of the year, we'll start seeing those big brown splotches across the Climate Prediction Center maps and say, hey, drought is on the horizon, those sorts of things. We're doing work right now where we're looking at corn and soybean yields relative to and how they relate to precipitation. And July precipitation is such a big predictor of yields. So I want to be careful in saying that these outlooks that are showing drier conditions for much of the western corn belt are for a 3-month composite. But we've seen years like last year where we were dry in spring. So there was some concern. We got rain in July, and it was perfectly fine. So this is part of that prediction where the difference between predicting precipitation patterns in the summer and actual impacts to yields means a lot. And so right now we're looking at maybe below normal precipitation for June through August, especially to our north and west. But that doesn't necessarily mean drought conditions. And even if we get drought, doesn't necessarily mean that the timing will be right to really significantly impact yield. So we'll just have to see as we get closer to that critical time in the growing season, what actually matters as far as how much rain falls.
That's Trent Ford, who is the Illinois State climatologist. News time, 27 minutes after 7 o'clock here on this Wednesday. Again, I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks today for this expanded local newscast, recapping our top stories here for this Wednesday. The dust is settled and the results are in. Helen Michelassi has won the race for Clinton mayor in the special election for the remaining 2 years on the unfinished term of mayor on the Clinton City Council. Michelassi received 50% of the vote last night with 546 206 votes cast for her. Seth Reddington received 291 votes, Kelly Harvey 130, Doug Tucker 65, Robert Kreitler 39, and Doug England with 16. The voter turnout from the election on Tuesday was roughly 25%. Also in news and at DeWittDailyNews.com today, a new realtor is coming to Clinton. Here, get that story today at DeWittDailyNews.com. And a $10,000 grant to the Warner Library will help them increase accessibility for those with disabilities. Work on that from the grant will start this summer. Again, those stories today in news at DeWittDailyNews.com. Time now for a quick look at this morning's obituaries. 59-year-old Susan Mary Diane Brooks of Hayworth passed away March 15th, a celebration of life for 59-year-old Susan Mary Diane Brooks will be on Saturday, April 5th at the Hayworth American Legion on Main Street. A celebration of life will be from noon to 4 p.m. Military honors will be conducted at 3 p.m. Memorials can be made to the Ronald McDonald House. News time, 29 minutes after 7 o'clock. Coverage of news brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters. We stream to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. A look at local sports follows network news and network sports on the WHOW Morning Show.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. President Trump is set to announce a new round of tariffs later today. House Speaker Mike Johnson urging Americans to trust the president's economic instincts on this matter. The voters of Wisconsin have spoken. Their state's highest court will keep its liberal majority. Democrat Susan Crawford has won the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. The outcome could tip the balance of power in Congress since Crawford is pledged to gerrymander congressional districts in favor of the Democrats. At the same time, a voter ID law has won approval in Wisconsin. Florida voters have elected 2 Republicans, Randy Fine and Jimmy Petronas, to Congress in a special election in that state. Rescue crews in earthquake-devastated Myanmar have pulled a 26-year-old man from the rubble alive close to 108 hours after the quake destroyed a building that he was in. More details, srnnews.com.
You should, too.
With SRN Sports, I'm George Williams. NBA action last night. Steph Curry drained 12 three-point shots en route to 52 points, leading the Warriors past the Grizzlies 134-125. It took 2 overtimes for the Timberwolves to beat the Nuggets 140-139. It was the Trailblazers over the Hawks, Knicks down the 76ers, Bucks winners over the Suns, Magic over the Spurs, and the Bulls beat the Raptors 137-118. In other NBA news, Detroit's Isaiah Stewart suspended for 2 games. 4 other players from the Pistons and the Timberwolves drew 1-game suspensions for an altercation earlier this week. NBA saying Stewart got the extra game based on a repeated history of unsportsmanlike acts. NHL action. Capitals beat the Bruins 4-3. 1 more goal for Cap star Alex Ovechkin. Now within 3 to tie Wayne Gretzky. Canadians, Blues, Ducks, Sabres, Blue Jackets, and Lightning also won. This is SRN Sports. Other NHL winners last night, Utah over the Flames, Oilers beat the Golden Knights, was the Kings over the Jets. Major League Baseball was the Marlins beating the Mets 4-2, Rangers over the Reds, 1-0 shutout. Diamondbacks hand the Yankees their first loss of the season, winning 7-5. Rays shut the Pirates out 7-0. Padres shut the Guardians out 7-0. Blue Jays 5-3 winners over the Nationals. Brewers shut out the Royals 5-0. It was the Twins over the White Sox 8-3 in 11 innings. Angels over the Cardinals 9-7. Giants were 3-1 winners over the Astros. Dodgers beat the Braves 3-1. It was the Tigers over the Marlins 4-1, and the Cubs defeating the Athletics 7-4. NFL news. A number of rules changes being considered by the NFL team owners. The tush-push rule, however, pushed, if you will, till next month. The owners tabling consideration of that rule on whether the lineman can help push a running back further ahead. It played a factor in the Green Bay Eagle playoff game. This is SRN Sports.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. In a game heard here on WHOW and all its digital platforms, the Clinton Maroons shut out Sullivan 8-0 in non-conference high school baseball action on Tuesday in Clinton. The Maroons were led by Colton Walker, who went 2 for 3, scored 2 runs, and had an RBI. Josh Bass was 2 for 4 and scored a run with an RBI, while Ryan Pine and Jackson Reynolds each had hits and scored a run. Jack Manning was the serve pro of Piatt DeWitt County's player of the game. He went 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs. He also allowed a hit and struck out 3 in 3 1/3 innings on the mound. The Redskins were led by Gavin Wade, Tristan Wright, and Fallon Rose, who all had a hit. Wright allowed 4 hits and 2 runs in 2 innings of relief. He struck out 5 and issued a walk. With the win, the Maroons improved to 3-3, while Sullivan falls to 1-5. Tune in on April 8th for our next Clinton game of the week when the Maroons take on Meridian in high school softball action. First pitch is at 4:30. Hear the action on WHOW and all its digital platforms. Monticello mustered just 3 hits in a 4-0 loss to Tri-Valley in non-conference high school baseball action in Monticello on Tuesday. The Vikings jumped on ace Ike Young with 3 runs in the first. The Illinois commit settled down to strike out 8 over 5 1/3 innings. Only 2 runs were earned. Sophomore Dawson Gitros was 2 for 3 with a double at the bottom of the order for Monticello. The Sages fall to 6-2 overall. They return to action on Thursday when they visit Prairie Central to open Illini Prairie Conference action. A 5-run second inning propelled Maroa-Forsyth over Hayworth 8-2 in non-conference high school baseball action on Tuesday in Forsyth. Gunnar Larner's bases clearing double in the second highlighted the frame. Grady Rose drove in 2. Ace Giles was 3 for 3 with a double and an RBI. Mitch Williams and Tate Brendenberg each scored 2 runs at the top of the order for the Trojans. Caden Rose drove in a run. Maroa-Forsyth is 4-3 overall. They will host Westville on Wednesday. Mount Pulaski used a late surge to get by Pontiac 8-3 in non-conference high school baseball action on Tuesday in Pontiac. The Hilltoppers led 4-3 going to the 7th. Aaron Volley doubled in a run in the inning. He was 2 for 3 with a pair of RBIs and a run scored. Chance Payne was 2 for 3 with a pair of doubles and 2 runs scored. Eric Cooper was 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs for the Hilltoppers. Volley picked up the win for Mount Pulaski. He went 4 innings of 2-run ball. Both were unearned with 4 strikeouts, a walk, and allowed just 1 hit. Mount Pulaski's 2-2 overall. They travel to Okaw Valley today. Lincoln strung together back-to-back-to-back RBI singles in a 3-run 6th inning and rallied to a 5-3 win over Springfield Lanphier in Central State 8 high school baseball action from Lincoln on Tuesday. Singles by Austin Lucas, Drew Hayes, and Parker Grau drove in runs in the inning for the Rail Splitters and put them up 5-2. The Spartans got a run back in the top of the 7th, but Carson Komnick was able to close the door on the win for Lincoln. Bryce Vlahovic struck out 7 in 4 innings of 2-run ball for the Railers. Komnick worked the final 3 innings with 3 strikeouts and permitted 6 hits. Lucas and Hayes collected 2 hits apiece. Grau and Komnick had base hits for Lincoln. Lincoln improves to 3-5 overall and 1-0 in CS8 action. They will travel to Jacksonville on Wednesday for more Central State 8 action. Taylorville opened the game with 7 runs and kept the pressure on in a 14-0 rout of Argenta Oriena in a run rule win on Tuesday in non-conference high school baseball action from Argenta. Jacob McWard drove in 6 for the Tornadoes. He was 3 for 4 with a double and a run scored. Max Green was 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 3 runs scored. Colton Gatton struck out 11 across 5 innings of 1-run ball for Taylorville. Bryson Cameron tallied the only hit of the afternoon for the Bombers. The Tornadoes are 6-0. They have a doubleheader with Springfield Lanphier on Saturday. Argenta Oriena drops to 3-3. They will visit LeRoy on Friday. Aiden Moore homered, and Brock Owens drove in 4 runs to lead LeRoy to a 12-0 romp over Blue Ridge in a 3-inning run rule win in non-conference high school baseball action on Tuesday. Moore's homer in the 3rd inning highlighted a 7-run frame for the Panthers. Kobe Brent was 4 for 4 with 2 runs scored. Brock Owens drove in 4 runs, finishing 2 for 3. Austin Lioness drove in 2 runs, and Lucas Hendren and Cole Smith drove in runs for LeRoy. The Knights fall to 0-4 on the season. They will host Toledo Cumberland on Thursday in Lincoln Prairie action. Monticello toppled Decatur St. Teresa 14-4 in a 5-inning run rule win over Decatur St. Teresa in non-conference high school softball action from Decatur on Tuesday. Madison Highland homered, and Cassidy Stoffel stayed hot driving in 4 runs as the Lady Sages ran its win streak to 8 to start the season. Stoffel was 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and 4 RBIs. Thea Key was 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs, and Highland drove in 2 runs and scored twice. Sadie Walsh, Allie Widener, Ashley Stiverson, and Lucy Leatherwood each had 2 hits for Monticello. Isabiri was 1 for 2 with a double and an RBI. The Lady Sages improved to 8-0 overall. They visit Prairie Central on Thursday to open Illini Prairie Conference play. Sullivan jumped out to a 6-1 lead and held on for a 6-3 win over Clinton in non-conference high school softball action on Tuesday in Sullivan. Avery Smith was 3 for 4 with a double and an RBI to lead Clinton. Hadley Umble was 1 for 4 with an RBI. Clinton is 2-3 overall. They travel to Shelbyville on Thursday to open Central Illinois Conference action. Warrensburg Latham's miscues allowed Argenta Oriena to take down the Lady Cardinals in non-conference high school softball action on Tuesday in Argenta. The Lady Cardinals jumped out in front 6-5 with a 4-run 5th inning, but a hit batter with the bases loaded tied the game. A fielder's choice then allowed the go-ahead run to come across, and Gracie Manning reached on an error that scored 2 more for the Lady Bombers. Karma Giles homered in the 6th inning to put Argenta Oriena up 11-6. Giles led Argenta Oriena going 3 for 3 with 3 RBIs and 3 runs scored. Manning finished 0 for 2 but drove in 2 runs. Elisa Armstrong drove in 2 for the Lady Bombers. With the win, Argenta Oriena got its first of the season as they go to 1-5. They will open Lincoln Prairie Conference action on Monday when they visit Broadlands Heritage. Illinois picked up an 8-2 win over Illinois State at Illinois Field on Tuesday. Offensively, the Fighting Illini were led by Cameron Chialoy, who was 2 for 2 with a double, 2 walks, and 2 RBIs. Colin Jennings continued his power surge at the plate with a homer and 2 RBIs. Vatisse Valensuisse had a solid night at the dish, going 3 for 4 with a double. Peyton Hutchings picked up the win out of the bullpen, tossing a scoreless 3rd inning and striking out 1. Mitch Dye posted a scoreless 6th. He struck out the side. 7 of 8 orange and blue relievers made scoreless appearances. The Illini scored 3 times in the 2nd, taking the lead for good thanks to a Will Johannes RBI single and a Chia Loy 2-run double. A 2-run single from Daniel Contreras trimmed the lead to 8-2 for ISU. Illinois State stranded 12 runners on base. Contreras was 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Judah Morris finished 1 for 3 with a double, a run, and 2 walks. Illinois State heads to Valparaiso for a 3-game weekend series against the Beacons Friday through Sunday. Illinois returns to action Friday when they welcome Maryland to Champaign for a 3-game Big Ten series. Jose Miranda hit a 2-run single in a Minnesota 5-run 6th inning, and the Twins took care of the White Sox 8-3 Tuesday night for their first win of the season.
The White Sox opened the season with a 28-inning streak without their starting pitchers allowing an earned run, the 4th longest such streak by a team's starters in the expansion era.
Now the stretch and a 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3 on that nasty changeup. Corey Lee will send that ball to the authenticator. First career strikeout for Smith.
Alas, Shane Smith's more than solid Major League debut was done in when the bullpen failed to provide relief, allowing 2 inherited and 5 total runs in a nightmarish 5th that propelled the Twins to their first win of the season. Sox and Twins square off in the series finale Wednesday afternoon at 1:10. Pre-game coverage starts at 12:30 on the ESPN 1000 Hard Rock Casino White Sox Network.
And you can hear the Sox on WHOW again on Saturday. Saya Suzuki hit a 3-run homer in the first inning. Kyle Tucker added a solo shot in the third to give him home runs in a career-best 4 straight games, and the Cubs slugged away for a second consecutive night, beating the Athletics 7-4 Tuesday. The A's answered in the bottom of the first on Brent Rooker's 2-run drive, and Shea Langoliers had a 2-run shot in the third. Cubs left-hander Justin Steele struck out 6 over 6 2/3 innings and continued his impressive interleague success in his third start of 2025, helping Chicago win back-to-back games for the first time this season. Ryan Presley worked a scoreless ninth for his second save. Tucker's 4 home runs are tied with Aaron Judge for second most in the majors. Dansby Swanson added an RBI double after hitting home runs the previous 2 games. Cubs right-hander Jameson Tejon faces Jeffrey Springs in the series finale this afternoon. Kyron Paris hit a tie-breaking single in the 11th inning. Yoan Moncada followed with a 2-run double, and the LA Angels beat the Cardinals 9-7 Tuesday. The game was tied at 3 after 9 innings before each team scored 3 in the 10th, and the Angels added 3 in the 11th. Victor Scott II had an RBI single in the bottom half, but Ryan Zefferjan got 2 outs for his first career save. Zefferjan struck out Wilson Contreras with a runner aboard to end it as the Angels outlasted St. Louis in extra innings for the second straight night. Ryan Johnson earned his first big league win. LA first baseman Nolan Shanuel hit a 2-run triple in the 10th to make up for his throwing error in the 8th. He lined a shot to center just past Scott, and it rolled all the way to the wall, scoring Paris and Moncada for the 5-3 lead. Shanuel scored on Joe Adell's single. Cardinals pinch hitter Lucan Baker answered with a 2-run double to make it 6-5, and Nolan Arenado tied it with an RBI single. Chris Roycroft allowed 3 runs, 2 were earned in 1 inning for St. Louis. Jordan Walker had 2 hits and 2 RBIs for the Cardinals. He hit a 419-foot homer to the batter's eye in center. Cardinals right-hander Sonny Gray faces Yusei Kikuchi to close out the 3-game set today. Get sports anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast. A wind advisory begins at 8 a.m. today and remains in effect until midnight tonight. Thunderstorms likely today, otherwise cloudy skies expected. High temperatures reach up to 71. South winds 20 to 25 miles per hour. Lows level off around 48. Tonight, chance for storms. Hear weather twice an hour or online anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. Currently 56.
From the Country Financial Studio, I'm Rita Frazier with Tasha Bunting, Director of Commodities and